Somebody doing?
Side camera. You turn it a little, that way it's not getting burnt.
Somebody doing?
It's going ground.
Whoever you.
It was playing back at me. Is your, hi, is your secretary all right?
Excuse me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't
No,
know.
you go ahead.
We should put for Wednesday. Yeah.
Is your secretary okay? Somebody rear under in front of the office? Please.
Oh, yeah. She's.
Oh, she's okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
It was just property damage.
Oh, good. Good. He had her hard though. I was like, whoa. I don't think he was even paying attention.
I can't do it right after.
I was coming through the light when it happened and I was like, yeah. Oh, jeez.
Well, some of these don't work, Nick.
I'll let you know. Video of, person that.
That's the one good one. Then you might be taking it back.
I brought two. But
Yes. I used to. Here's some stuff. Can we go to the office? Takes his office. He goes, "Oh, hey, let's see." He goes, "I don't know. Just an old around." He goes, "Okay." I sit there doing some work. One point he goes, "You can't do this as much around what's happening." He goes, "Very good paper." We're just slapping him. Well, he goes, "Here he is." Guys, can't. Oh, cool. Thanks. I said, "What can I do for you?" Nothing.
Yeah, okay, that's, so he said he could. Put down
So I
3 months.
said it to all the staff.
Yeah, yeah.
They used to know what to do with the committee.
Yeah.
Is that no one else?
Okay,
So just.
I'm just glad it's going to school.
They're right.
Nothing.
If there's a God, I will be here when it happens.
Oh,
It's nervous if not.
call a meeting to order, please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Move on to the agenda. Is there a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
Second.
I'm sorry, who'll move?
Oh, I did.
Okay, thanks.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Move on to public comment. If you could please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less, and provide your name and address. Once we've been around the room, if you have additional comments, we'll start over. Also, another public comment at the end of the meeting. You can comment at one, both, whatever you'd like.
My name's Peggy West, 8 Barton Circle and then Farms. And I'm here to talk about or learn about the anvil, rebuild or not rebuild. Like to see it rebuilt if possible, and would be willing to help pay for it if necessary. What's there? Oh, there was one question, one neighbor had a question, if we rebuild it, are we responsible if or liable if someone gets hurt? That was a question.
To have the town attorney take that under advisement.
Yeah, because right now it's public comment, not questions, but if you wanna, here's my name. Feel free to contact me and I can answer your question, okay?
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Jacqueline Vestrom, 10 Humber Hills Way. We too are here for the anvil rebuilding versus having it removed. I had shared with you in an email some of the there with you. I have not taken that email, but just temperature of the neighborhood, which a very different feel. Having it rebuilt and having it was hot to rebuild it and the safety issues.
And I did forward that email on to the town board. Yeah, I print it if you don't mind passing these downtown. There's a hard copy for everybody. But I did forward that to the town board right after I got it, a few hours ago. Thank you. Anyone else? On to communications, Andy?
I attended the ribbon cutting for the pickleball courts. That was interesting. They asked me to go. We helped the village pave Harry Allen Park end of the month, last month. And then the guys have just been plugging away at county work within the town of London. And I think as of the end of July, we've created about $300,000 in revenue for the town. Still coming, still filtering in, but I filled them up.
Parish Road is done, right?
Say it again.
Parish Road is done,
No, we got a lot more work to do on it, but
but the wide
yes,
look right.
yep.
Joe?
I have gotten the warrant for Pittsford School District for the taxes. That's starting soon. So that one I haven't gotten HFL yet. I'll reach out to them to see. And I've applied for a notary to be able to do an e-notary online. And they provide you with a stamp. You can do everything online anywhere. So I've applied for that. I'm waiting to hear back on that. So that'll be nice to have. I did send out flyers that I had made up. I don't know if you guys saw them in your email or not, for the rabies clinic, recycling, the mobile mammogram that's coming. I think that's all. Right. The mobile mammogram, that is September 30th from 9 to 1, and it's right in the parking lot at the community center. And they just pull in the bus and that's it. It's free to everybody. Nobody pays a dime. Even if you don't have insurance, it's all covered. So it's kind of a nice little program.
First time we've had it here, too.
First time, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, yeah.
My compliments.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Sheldon?
I have nothing.
Brent?
Had a meeting with supervisor, 2 members of the HPC with 5 men that we talked about at the last meeting. Good discussion, more discussions, reports to come. This will be a work in progress. Looking, taking the maps and the 2 sections of the code jive, so there's no discrepancy between them. Planning board, the Equa Centers, they were approved to expand operations. I think there was a news story about it recently. And I'm gonna work with them, planning board member, and then I'm gonna reach out to ECD chair also. We're talking about a proposed easement. Aqua Center land in South Road Park. So probably in September, when foliage is down, we're gonna get down there and see if there's an area that's possible. August 16th, planning board meeting, got a subdivision and site plan on Pittsford Menon Road that's on the agenda. A sketch plan pre-application on Mile Square Road for a subdivision. Site plan on Boughton Hill Road, and they have a favorable, unfavorable report review for a short-term rental, first short-term rental in the town of Mendon application, since our new law is passed. One item on that is the applicant for that. While I have no direct involvement with the application, I am working with the applicant on some of their other properties in Mendon. So I felt from that application, and I'll leave the room. During the planning board application, when you're looking at it, I'm going to leave the room. The application comes to the town board. I'm going to recuse myself from that. It's just, that's definitional when somebody needs to recuse themselves. Spray park updates, I'm sure we'll talk about that later today. Mendon Community Business Association, the last meeting, the Monroe County IDA came, talked about opportunities for businesses in Mendon to possibly get some grant dollars. I took some of the pamphlets, I put them down in the town clerk's office. They are also reviving the Mendon Station Festival. This year is on September 10th, I think. I brought the information to the town clerk, put it on the website. I put some of the information down there. It's an artisan festival, and they are going to have a beer garden over in Westminster at an October festival. Continued meetings with the planning building department. Continued meetings with supervisor, highway superintendent, deputy superintendent. And I met with the supervisor and the assessor, which I'm sure we're going to talk about later. And I see it's on the agenda, so I'll hold off on that. That's what I have.
Thank you. Karen?
Nothing.
Cindy?
With regard to the library, Assemblywoman Lunsford has nominated library to receive $30,000 from the state ed department for the program. Thoughts are, if accepted, to add furniture and decor for a library. So they'd add a TV, there's furniture. Based on the cost. There's somebody going over and picking it up and they weren't getting as many book drops there as they had in the past. The Friends annual appeal, there were over 100 donors, and as of July 24th, they had a little over $7,000 collected. Summer programs have been a great success and have been well attended. Board meeting on August 2nd for Brent, who was unable to make it. On-site plan, which is on 360 Cheese Factory Road, was approved. It's a 5.9. Then the second one, there was a little bit of a hiccup. Use permit. The applicant was advised to have the site plan updated. Apparently it hadn't been up. Yes, it was. And their concern will not. So they need a letter from the company that does the inspection and
Yeah, we'll be obviously talking about the Megan Youth Center later on, so I don't need to talk about that. Zoning Board of Appeals, I think this predates last board meeting, but I wasn't here, so just to get you up to date on that. The new owner of Benacasa that do a short-term rental, she for 17 orders, now she's breaking it into 2. And that's step 1 of a multi-step process. So just but that was skills. And also we had the absolute shortest zoning board of appeals meeting last Thursday. We just approved setting an appeal for the Flowers by Steve appeal, setting up a meeting for an appeal for Flowers by Steve. That will be not this Tuesday, Thursday, the following Thursday. You know what? I'm going to talk about the ambulance communications. Why not? Just to kind of give everyone, since we have interest in it, kind of where it is. And I've been, all my information has kind of come through John, so please correct me if it's not right. I think our code enforcement officer, Corey, and I think probably Sheldon's had a hand in it too, and John has determined that anvil, for better or for worse, is town property. Correct?
Correct. We don't see anything that tells us that there was an association there upon the development going in. And we can't find anything that says the association owns. And so in that case, the town has to own it because it's in the middle of a town road.
Yeah. So that being said, if they decide to demolition or if they decide to rebuild, that will require a resolution from the board. And that'll, if you take a look and I imagine that'd be fairly soon. So if you take a look at upcoming board meetings, then you're more than welcome to come back. Invite some neighbors to come back and give your opinions on it. So the other thing, and this is kind of an aside, I hope I'm not stepping on your toes, Andy. I was talking to Andy last week at Highway, and all of a sudden a minivan pulled in. And it was out of place amongst all those big trucks. And Andy says happens all the time when the spray park was open. And of course, that's been a problem the past month. But anyways, a lot of people just make that turn. And you know, I mean, Andy knows, and it certainly is my opinion that having passenger vehicles running around highway, even if they're just turning around, is probably not a good thing. So is it possible to get like a sandwich board or something out there that says spray park is next turn? Sure. Yeah, I think that may be helpful because
You think people are following GPS directions or something and just.
Yeah, they just, well, I mean, they see the big snowplows that's on them in the front.
Okay.
You know, think, oh, there's turn right there. But hopefully it helps. But like I said,
We can put, because I mean, we had just took down the sandwich board that said closed for.
Yeah, sure.
So we can just make a new sign for it, put it right there.
Yeah, I know. And again,
Arrow.
being working at the bus garage, I know passenger vehicles in a lot, but we only expect to see buses are not a good thing. So, anyways, okay, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you. A couple of things. First of all, as we all know, Brent and I went down last week after the proper sealer was applied to the spray park. It was also the town's engineer had a third party go out and review it prior to that. It was deemed safe, and Brent and I went out. We turned on the water as best we could determine that we thought it was as safe as we felt it could be. Opened it, put it on social media, put it on the town website, and there's been people down there haven't had any complaints so far. So I think that's probably a good thing.
And I think that third party, the report said that none of the sections they tested was considered. They're all considered non-slip
Yes.
for that report. So.
Been working with Al Reeve, who's the attorney that's representing us in dealing with both contractors. The granite on the military memorial has been an issue, and we're still working through that. My point being that if that was the grant, in my opinion, I'm an expert in granite, but in my opinion, if that granite was on your kitchen countertop, you wouldn't accept it. And call it whatever you may, it appears, my description, oversimplification is that it's a crack in several pieces. They have different names for it, but that's my 2 cents. Also tomorrow, Brent, Kevin, Joni, Corey, and I are gonna go over the punch list and see what's done, what is not been completed or fixed. And we'll be sending that on to Al Reed, the engineer and the contractors from there. Let's see. Brent talked about the HPC map. The only thing I would add is that my suggestion was on that map behind you, there's an inset of the Village of Honey Falls, which our Historic Preservation Commission has no authority in. And when you look at the map and you see the number of dots there are in Hamlet of Mendon, where Brent is, I suggested that inset over on the left side be the Hamlet, and that we not have a close-up view or whatever you want to call it of the Village of Honey Falls, since we don't have any authority there. So, and then Brent and I had a few other changes that we suggested. They're working on putting that map together. And some of the descriptions I thought could be a little more descriptive. Because when I look at what the various colors are and what they refer to, I just think it's very important that people understand what has a 500-foot buffer and what doesn't. Simplifying. Anyway, so once we hear from them, we'll bring it back to the board and review it. Probably we'll have to sit down with them before it gets to the board, just so we don't waste a lot of time in a meeting. Met with the broker for our health insurance, and we have another meeting. Karen, you asked me about that, and I checked with Kelly. We don't have another meeting scheduled, but he said we would be getting together sometime, I think mid-September. So as soon as I get a date time, I'll let you know about that. The anvil, which has been talked about a couple of times tonight, just that, we did the research. It is the town's. If the town is going to fix it, we should get an estimate. If the town is going to remove it, I talked to the highway superintendent, and he said that it would to remove it and repair the road would be a couple of days, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So obviously it's a decision of the town board. I do think that we need to do something before winter sets in. And here it is, August. Time goes by quick. So I would suggest that everyone, Tom especially, hate to throw you under the bus here, but you live in the neighborhood, so to speak. And so I think we need to come to some kind of a decision as to what we're going to do. And if we're going to get estimates, then let's get estimates. And, there's no real reason for the residents to pay for it. It's not their property. No offense intended, but if it's going to be fixed, it wouldn't be appropriate for them to fix it, pay to fix it, or tear it down. My opinion. Sheldon, I don't know if you have if it's town property, it's town property.
One of the things, if you don't mind,
No.
one of the things I suggested actually to Judy is one of the things that neighbors might want to consider is if they do repair it, they repair the structure, and maybe the residents can go in on a new sign because the last one's been defaced. So maybe that's something where, because if that doesn't run foul, but that's something I think that way it's a good faith effort from the track to their share.
And if, I think for my own 2 cents, is it possible to get that estimate of what it is to repair? And then we could, I don't know if it's something we would have a public hearing on, but at least during public comment, I'd like to hear from residents, and give the residents, have it on the agenda and have everybody a chance to be heard.
Yeah.
What I suggest, and it's that maybe I make a few phone calls and get a couple estimates, hopefully on the repair. Not that we're going to repair it, but just at least we know what we're getting into.
Yeah,
You know, is
no.
it $10 or a million
Yeah,
now?
yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think, and the part, I mean, I think one of the issues is the structure inside of it is cinder block and we don't know what the damage. Probably someone that does it for a living, will have a good idea, so.
My problem is I don't know exactly what trade other than a mason. And I mean, I tried to get somebody to put those bricks back on the library for going on 2 years and I couldn't get, I got one guy to come out and give an estimate. Or he came out and looked at it, said he'd give me an estimate, never got it. And I probably talked to 4 or 5 other different companies and nobody, they don't want anything to do with it. So
You need somebody that works on like cobblestone homes.
Right.
I mean, that was Louis DiNardo that fixed it last time, if I'm not mistaken, so, and he's the one that did the Hamlet signs as well.
Take time to ask the question about that, or you want me to wait for that?
if you could wait for public comment, ma'am, that would be great. Thank you. So, moving on to other subjects, I did attend a meeting last week at the Mendon Fire Hall regarding a more regional approach versus a townwide approach to fire service. Those meetings are being represented by Honeycomb Falls Fire Department, the Mendon Fire Department, the Town of Victor, the Fishers Fire Department, the Victor Farmington Ambulance. There was not a representative from the village of Honeycomb Falls, but I'm told there will be in the future. The thing that I would say to the board is that the overall tone of the regarding having professional firefighters servicing the town of Mendon. And one of the reasons why that is why we're invited to the meetings, quite frankly, is the taxable assessment in the town of Mendon. So I'll let you connect the dots. Sidewalk project, we received a preliminary, what would you call it, Brent? A preliminary
It's a draft report.
draft report. Yeah, I didn't print one up for everybody because it's 59 pages. But I will send it to you electronically. Just be careful. I mean, if you want to print it at home, you're more than welcome to, but be aware. I'll get that to you. Let's see, attended the American Legion picnic and last week, and also the senior citizens lunch. As I mentioned, the library wall. So this is a little bit more complicated, but Kevin Jungi, who's our buildings and grounds guy, he is working on that because obviously couldn't find anybody to fix it. And when they came off, it took the whatever the adhesive was with it that connected it to the wall, like it's like mortar, for lack of a better term. And upon, you had to remove that mortar in order to reattach. And some of the stones broke. So he went to a company that had what I think they called it a graveyard. And he found some stones that match. So he's picking those up, I think, later this week. And he'll be able to get those reattached before the snow flies. But it's been kind of an ongoing problem and hasn't been an easy fix. Mendon Youth Center, we're having a problem with the roof there, and it's that same spot that they already repaired once by one of the drains. However, our warranty is expired. So I'm in touch with somebody to take a look at that. Also, there's been some comments because some of the other towns that surround us are going with where the town authorizes an energy company to come in and be the deliverer of your energy. Some of our neighboring towns are doing this. We have not. And the only way you can, it's not an opt-in, it's an opt-out. And we've had a few phone calls at town hall about that. And there's also been some chatter among the town supervisors about some unscrupulous people contacting the town, contacting the individuals in the town, trying to get them to switch energy providers, this kind of thing. So if you talk to anybody, I would tell them to buyer beware. And compliment for the highway department on roadside mowing from one of our residents. So we'll move on to supervisor's monthly report.
Make a motion to acknowledge receipt of the supervisor's monthly report for July 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? Favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. On to town clerk's monthly report.
Of receipt of the town clerk's monthly report for July 2023, showing receipts and disbursements in the amount of $60,032.66.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we move on to minutes. Pardon.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular town board meeting as presented for July 17th, 2023.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Budget transfers.
Make a motion to approve the budget transfers as listed in the agenda.
Second that.
Any discussion?
Why do we have?
Because we do a budget in like this time of year for 2024 and forecasting is forecasting.
Okay.
You know, we do the best we can, but you know, things change, things break, the cost of items change. I'll tell you, when I was at the conference in November of last year in Altmar, New York, which makes Mendon look like a metropolis. The gentleman who put it on said when he comes in to do a audit, the first thing he does is look at minutes, and he goes, if I don't see transfers every month, he goes, you're doing it wrong.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Vouchers.
Oh, let's see. Sorry, I was explaining something. I'll make a motion to approve all claims on vouchers number 23-568 to 23-637 on general abstract 23-08 in the amount of $553.17. Want to, go ahead.
I'll second that. Nope, on that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to say that insurance was $50,000 of that. HFL Community Program 17,000 and Labella was 52,000, and all of those are, I rounded the numbers, so.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up the Labella, because I think on Labella, there was 36,000 towards Mendon Green inspection. And when we do release a liens, one of our conditions for the Reedman is it's always, you know, are they caught up on Labella Associates bills? And I noticed the ones from Labella are from March and April. We're 4 or 5 months behind. It's kind of tough for us to make sure that Reedman's caught up on the bills. If we're 4 or 5 months behind on receiving them, I know John and I have expressed it to Labella a couple of times. Quick, right, into the bills.
And I did, Brent and I had a conversation previous to this meeting. And part of the problem is that they were sending bills for various things to various people. And it wasn't all ending up at the finance office at the proper time. And I take partial responsibility for some of that. I got 2 bills that I assumed also went to the finance department, but did not. I was the only one to receive those 2 bills. So we have since talked to the billing department of Labella, and we've told them all the billing to finance. And then it's up to the finance director to come to whomever it's related to make sure that it's appropriate to pay and that they did the work, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm hopeful that we've fixed that problem, for lack of a better term.
Seems like a simple.
Yes.
Agreed. I'd also like to acknowledge library vouchers number 23-104 to 23-120 on library abstract 23-08. $273 sent to the town board for payment.
Did we vote on that?
We haven't voted on.
I don't.
Oh,
It's okay.
That's cool.
Sorry.
I just want to mention one more thing on the vouchers regarding the summer recreation program, which you mentioned. There, I think I may have mentioned this last meeting, so I apologize for reiterating, but there were two people who were in the reduced or free lunch program that we did provide additional funding for. And the program director did send out weekly updates, and which I passed on to you electronically, and I heard nothing but good things about the program. Now, no complaints back to me, and as far as I'm concerned, I've forgotten how many children were there, a couple of hundred, 162, and in my opinion, that's money well spent to get for the youth.
And I'm very happy to hear about the not the grant scholarship. And I hope we keep that in the budget line for
Yes.
following year,
Yeah.
for subsequent years.
Yes. Any other comments? All in favor?
I
Any opposed? Thank you.
do the abstract.
Sure.
They should go home and come back in. Acknowledge library vouchers number 23-104 to 23-120 on library abstract 23-08 in the amount of $6,270.94 that were presented to the town board for payment.
Thank you. Move on to number 11, which is traffic control device establishment.
Pursuant to authority granted by section 1651 and 1652-8 in the New York State Vehicle and Traffic Law. Stop northbound / Bullsaw Mill Road at Mendon Center Road and stop southbound Mendon Center Road at Bullsaw Mill. We're changing the stop signs.
Discussion.
What is that going to look like?
Like three-way stop. I mean, they're not taking down the
Correct,
one.
it's- correct me if I'm wrong, but right now on southbound, if you're coming down Pittsford Mendon Center Road, you don't have a stop sign. And you can go right, you can go left, you can go either way, and northbound, that's Bullsaw Road at that point, and Mendon Center Road, they have a stop
Oh, I
sign.
see.
So it's rearranging the stop signs.
So
So
that everybody
who has to
stops?
stop. Not everybody has to stop. There's only 2 of them that have to.
There's only one that has to stop. They're gonna, Bull Sawmill, Pittsford Bennett Center has to stop. Coming from 251.
Yeah.
Bull Sawmill doesn't, southbound Pittsford Bennett Center doesn't. They feel as though Pittsford Bennett Center is all one road. They should keep traveling. Bull Saw should stop. So it's coming from Pittsford Bennett Center going to Bull Sawmill.
And this is a county road and this is a county recommendation.
Both county, and then we're refiguring the intersection. Readjusting everything.
So I received a letter from the Department of Transportation in regards to this. And it says to have our town board pass, and is this the same thing you
Yeah.
got? The appropriate ordinance. And so I'm supposed to sign and send it back if we agree.
They all got cut.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we have driveway ceiling stripe.
Motion to accept the RFP from Western New York Ceiling and Paving. $8,396 to seal and stripe the mark. The parking lot at Minute Community Center and then public library, accounts A 1620.412 and A 1620.421.
So we sent out many RFPs on this, we only received 2 quotes. But Sheldon, because we received two quotes and we sent out at least 6 or 8
Now we're good.
requests, we're good legally. Any other comments? Favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, fine. Number 13, wage changes.
I make a motion to proceed with the wage change for the highway department employees as indicated.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, assessments and equalization rate. I put this on for discussion. Brent and I had an opportunity to sit down with the assessor. The first thing I will tell you is that if you would like him to come to a subsequent meeting, we will, for further clarification. Our equalization rate is at 68%. It's our 78%, and next year it's going to 68%. So we're not going in a good direction. Except for any of the other towns in Monroe County, unless they've done a reassessment in the last couple of years, everybody's in the same boat. I think you have a copy. I think I sent it to everybody.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's and where it's going to affect people is that on their star and enhanced star is they're going to get that percent. So if you have basic star, and star only applies to school district, your school taxes. So you get $30,000 off your assessment. And then they do the formula. If you with the current equalization rate, you would get 68% of $30,000 off your assessment towards your school taxes. So the state's going to get you coming or going, is my opinion. If we proceed along these same lines, it's going to affect people's tax bills. If we do a reassessment, it still could affect people's tax bills. And if we did a reassessment, we're probably looking at a cost to the town taxpayers of somewhere $100,000 to $200,000 because we have a part-time assessor and we'd have to hire a firm to do a reassessment. It would have to be built into the budget in advance. And I think based on the model of the fact that our equalization rate is going to be down at 68%, you can pretty much add a third to everybody's assessment to bring them up to 100%. We can't do that. We can't just automatically, assessor can't go, I'm going to add a third to everybody's, and that's going to bring us to 100%. The state does not allow that. That was one of my questions, is you have to do your due diligence to go around, do assessment, et cetera, et cetera. It's not an easy process. It's not a pleasant process. Most people, when they did one in Lima a couple of years ago, I talked to some people in Lima who were afraid they were going to have to leave the community. The tax rate should adjust. When we did ours in 2017, 2018, our tax rate adjusted. I remember when my assessment went up, our rate went down. My bill was $3 more than it was the year before after the assessment. That's just me. Everybody was a little bit different, but it's a decision this board has to make. If you'd like to have the assessor come in and talk in more detail, I'd be more than happy to have him. The state wants you to do a reassessment every 4 years. When you have a part-time assessor, it's in my opinion, it's financially impossible to do a reassessment. Although we can do a update. Once you do a reassessment, you can do an update for a certain number of years without hiring an outside firm. But it gets people's emotions going. But you also see that when people are assessed at a number, they put it up for sale for a number that's probably higher than their assessment. And then they get another $100,000 over their asking price because they've received multiple bids. You can see why this has happened. And so I just want the board to know what I know, which is what Jim told me. I'm not an expert. Brent, you sat there. Maybe you have something else you want to add.
Well, and I think one thing that'll help is Jim said he's going to get harder numbers of what this assessment will cost. So in another 2 or 3 weeks, he'll have a harder number. I asked him point blank, I said, if it's $100,000, is the town gonna get $100,000 worth of benefit to it? Or are we just doing this for the pride? So our assessment is at 100%. He just kind of gave a grin and said, the state wants you to do it, but there's towns and other counties that have not done it in 20 or 25 years.
Yeah.
That have an assessment rate down in the high 20s, low 30s. The state's going to get their pound of flesh no matter what we do. Look at, can we do it now? He did say if we do an update, we can do a fixed. So if we did a reassessment last year, we cut it, we could this year just do a 10% across the board adjustment rate without reassessing again. I think he said the town of Henrietta did that.
Yes.
But once again, it's going to be Board of Assessment review, and I think this would be a great thing to have Jim come in and explain it, make sure I'm not losing anything in translation. Last time they did reassessment, last year they did one night for the Board of Assessment review. When they did reassessment back in 2017, I think they did it for a month. I mean, they had like 5 or 6 meetings because people, if you jumped up a 68% assessment rate, is you don't take if you're $100,000 home, it doesn't mean you go up to 132, it means you go up to 150. So people are gonna be, they're gonna be upset. But Jim also has some good ideas of what we could do to help educate the public, to make them understand that the tax rate will adjust as well. So it does not mean that their taxes are going up by 50%. And he's also looking in another option or two there. One of the benefits he said would come to the town is he would get a better model for his assessments. His houses are sold here. So he's also looking at an option that, maybe we can get some benefit without spending that full, I'm just going to say 100,000 just for a flat number. Maybe we can spend 15 or 20,000 and get some benefit out of it.
The hard thing is you've got houses that are being built in a subdivision in the village of Honeyett Falls right now. They're building like 125 homes. They're selling for 400 plus.
600.
500 or 600.
Well,
600,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
400 plus. You've got other homes and I'm going to stick to the village because it's relative because of that subdivision going in. Is you got other homes that are comparably sized that aren't assessed anywhere near $400,000 to $600,000. There's something's got to give sooner or later here, and our tax rate. Most people in the town of Mendon, it depends on where you live. It depends on what fire district you're in, and whether you're in a lighting district, and whether you have public water and all that kind of jazz, but you're paying somewhere around $40 a thousand. Our tax rate's $2.50. The school's rate is approximately $25. The county's is right around $10. So the village rate is, I think it's somewhere around $2.50 as well. And a reassessment is financially is not going to benefit the town of Mendon. Actually, it's going to be a detriment to the town of Mendon because we're going to spend some serious money. And if we do spend that money, the amount of money we bring in on taxes is the amount of money we bring in on taxes. If right now Brent's paying $2 in town tax, I'm paying $3, and there's a reassessment, and now he's paying $3 and I'm paying $2. The town still ended up with $5. All right, got it. So, I'm not saying I'm for or against it. I just think this board needs to be aware and educated and, believe me, I've learned a lot about it. So it's, when Henrietta did it, they did a big one. People got a big jump. The very next year, they jumped in with a, what do you call it, a review process. And they got another jump. People, quite frankly, lost their minds. I remember it was on TV and people were very upset. We can't control the county rate. We can't control the village rate. We can't control the school rate. The only rate this board here can control is the town rate. So I just ask you to keep all that in mind.
I think speaking for myself, I'd like Jim to come in and give a presentation. I think it's helpful to me at least.
Sure.
I agree.
Yeah, because he knows his stuff. I mean, he's been here for quite a while and he's a licensed appraiser, so he knows his values. But anybody who looks at real estate right now, it's out of sight. I did want to mention, I forgot to mention this in my communications, but this Mike Spiegel, who served as the town of Mendon's assessor, passed away Friday. Terrific guy, did a great job for the town of Mendon, and will be missed from Pittsburgh. So he'll really be missed by a lot of people. He's a terrific guy, and I feel lucky to have gotten to know him because he was here when I came here, and I appreciated my time working with him. Anything else anybody wants to discuss on assessments or equalization rate? I don't think anybody ever wants to discuss that. Next is an Easy Pass application.
Apply for an Easy Pass account in the name of the town of Mendon. Account credit card and will secure one Easy Pass instrument to be used in this business.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Anybody who's traveled through it lately knows if you don't have an Easy Pass, you're gonna pay more.
Yeah.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, Mendon Youth Center.
Yeah, so John and I got together last week.
Well,
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll make that motion to reopen the Mendon Youth Center starting October 2nd,
Oh.
2023, Monday through Thursday, 2 to 6 p.m. Authorize the supervisor to hire any staff required. Any open positions will be filled within the.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
I'm sorry, I thought this was discussion. I didn't know what-
No.
No, John and I got together last week and first met with Renee Williams from the district. She suggested not opening up when the school opens up and not closing the day the school closes. And we kind of came to agreement that a month buffer would be good. So, beginning of October. I mentioned, I think at a meeting probably last year. First of all, last year was our first complete year ever at the Mendon Youth Center because of COVID. It was a good year. We didn't hit the ground running with the transportation, though. This year I plan on doing it. I've got a month. I'll talk to Cindy. I'll make sure that it worked out great with transportation and there was no hassle on their part. So we'll doing something the same this year. So what I'd like to do is maybe the week before or possibly 2 weeks. I think a week would be good. Maybe on a Thursday night, have an open house. Since it is open to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, middle schoolers. We have a bunch of 5th graders last year that are now 6th graders that don't open invitation to anyone, but I think it'll be a good opportunity for the younger ones to kind of see what it's about. And I can say last year it wasn't a huge turnout that we had that night, but there was some turnout. And these kids were pretty rock solid coming in. So I think it pays dividends to do that. So we'll come up with an exact date at some point.
Want to make sure it doesn't coincide with it.
Yeah, we'll look at the school.
Parent, yeah, the.
Yeah, we'll look at the school
School,
calendar.
yeah.
Any other discussion? I think it went really well last year. Like you say, it was really our first event. You know, the people I talked to appreciate it. I think the open house is important because parents can come with the kids, especially the incoming sixth graders, and see what it's all about, see that it's a safe environment, that there's adults there to supervise and what the opportunities are that are there for the children. And I think that's an important part of it, is the parents need to feel comfortable to send their children.
And I like the point that we're having this discussion now about when we're gonna open. It's a lot better than the discussion last year.
Yeah.
Are we gonna?
Are we gonna-
Are we
are we-
gonna- Over the hump with COVID. so
But it's
happy
great,
about that.
it's great to have communication with the district and all the work that you do, but that's really important. And what I like to see this year is, I mean, there are clubs that get together, maybe not formal clubs, but like informal kids that get together, whether it's, interested, whatever. I mean, I would like to encourage, you could meet at pizza. It's funny places.
Yeah, I'm like Pokemon Club. I'm sure I'm behind the times.
Yeah. I don't know what they're.
I agree, and I think that I think that gives us enough time to hit the ground running and let me know what your thoughts are about it. I know you're gonna look into open date or open house just so we can get it out on social media and on the town's website, things like that. We didn't vote, did we, Michelle?
No,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Payroll procedure.
Effective immediately, all time card. Or time sheets from all departments will be signed by the department head. Town supervisor will sign. Expenditures after the appropriate department head is signed. Any late? Mowing, trimming grass from town owned or maintained property. Snow and ice removal. Or sidewalks and equipment repair must.
So this goes back to the conference that Brent and I went to. And then also on every week, I don't know if anybody, but I'm sure nobody follows this, but the state comptroller puts out an email every Sunday.
Mhm.
And on there, they have their audits. And this was the town of Lake Luzine. Luzine, I guess is pronounced. I didn't know where it was. I had to look. But they were audited by the state, and all payrolls have to be reviewed and certified. That was what this was all about. And this procedure that the town board's considering, in my opinion, puts us in good shape upon an audit similar to this. So if any, this is available on the town's web, or excuse me, but be glad to send you a copy of it if you choose. I found it a very good read. Always learn. That's all I can say.
I'm confused though. How is it done now?
Well, how it is done now is that somebody needs to either, the people who use a time card,
Mhm.
somebody has to either sign that time card, which would be the department head, or a sheet that has the same information as the time card with all the employees. So somebody, the department head has to sign that.
So it's a sheet. We don't have a punch in and punch out.
There is for the highway department,
Oh, okay.
but for the other departments, there is no time card.
Okay.
There's no time clock, I should say.
Okay.
Everyone else fills out a time sheet.
Okay.
And this would allow the department head to sign that. And then they would all come through me as certifying. I'm certifying that this person can sign that because they're a department head. I'm not gonna know whether
That
somebody
they
at the
actually
library worked on Tuesday or Thursday
Right.
from 5 to 7 o'clock. But I can say that this person is the department head of the library and they signed it and they said that person was there and I didn't sign
So
it.
you're signing it just saying that that person was allowed to
Just to sign.
sign it.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think right now, I don't think the department head is signing that kind of fee, is what the point is.
Some of them are.
I
some
sign
aren't.
bonds.
Okay,
Yeah.
Some are and some are.
so it's just standard.
So this is just standing. See,
Just standardizing the rules. Exactly.
I don't understand what the pre-approval. What does that mean?
Freedom.
That any labor, payroll, or expenditures.
Other than,
Well, for buildings and grounds, we don't have a department head for buildings and grounds.
Okay,
It has to go
Has to
through
go
the
through.
supervisor.
so you have to pre-approve.
Correct.
Okay,
If we had a department head, then that department head would service
Okay.
that person. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Voucher form.
and effective August 15th, all vouchers will be with a new form. Signed by a minimum 3 members of the board prior to payment. The supervisor will be signing all vouchers after the department head has signed and before the town board.
For discussion purposes, what we did with that, we won't be, what we did with the vouchers tonight, we will no longer be doing. Which is one person. I sign them. Cindy, with her month to do it, she reviews them, signs it. At least 3 members of the board have to sign every one of those and approve every one of those.
But that includes you as well.
Correct.
So, okay.
So,
Supervisor.
yes.
So what will that look like then?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about it,
Yeah.
so that we could work through that. Because that's gonna require either 2 of you coming in every month, or somebody's gonna have to come in early before the meeting and review them before the meeting starts. But that is a requirement of and Brent, you and I were at that meeting, or at that seminar, I should say. That is a requirement that at least 3 people sign and date. And that's why I went back to Williamson Law, who does all our forms, and asked them to revamp our form. And that's why you have a revamp, the original form, which is in my packet, it's the second one. The revamped form is the first one. Anytime an expenditure is approved at this meeting, and there are not sufficient funds in that line, it is technically a misdemeanor. Before you put your name on that dotted line, you want to make sure there's enough money in that fund. If you're not sure if there's enough money, you need to talk to the finance director or talk to myself.
What if we have? Right now, we do it every 4 months. We have the rotation where town board takes it. Town board member takes it. What if we have the town board member that's going to take it the following month? Be the second signatory line. Just some kind of a method, or maybe it's the one that did it the previous month. Just so we have so I can put it in my calendar. And my phone goes, hey, it's your time to do it.
And then you don't do 2 months.
I think that's the way to do it. So then we have.
So
2
do you
months.
sign it afterwards?
No, it should be.
No, I sign
You
them.
sign it like.
Normally I'd sign them
Okay.
beforehand, but really the department head should be the one who's signing. If you look on the form here, on the bottom left-hand side, department approval, that's what the department head signs,
Okay,
okay? Then it would come to me to sign. Then I would sign it. Then this board would audit it, which requires at least 2 additional. If for some reason I wasn't here to sign, then it required 3 to sign and date at the bottom.
so we would need the numbers to be able to make sure that there is enough money in each of those.
Absolutely. And that's something that we do internally.
Yeah.
But I want you to get a sheet, and when you go through those, you should have a sheet that shows up to date what money is in each line. Because like you just mentioned, transferring funds, we shouldn't be transferring funds to a line and expending money from a line that's short in the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Supposed to be doing that month before.
Yes, and that's why when the finance director presents me with the 5 accounts, being A, B, D, A, D, B, and L, first thing I do is go through there and see where, what's trending. Last year, we spent $10,000 in a specific line. Already this year, we've spent $9,000. Well, was it a one-time bill or is it a reoccurring bill? If it's a reoccurring bill, pretty sure we don't have enough money in that line, and it's got to come from somewhere, or we're not going to be able to pay the bill. So that it's quite frankly a little more work on all of our parts, but it's necessary. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Before we move forward, John, I'm sorry I did not catch this before, but I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to add in number 19. I have 19 here.
No.
19 public comment. Well, I just make 19 to give the supervisor the ability to extend the splash pad hours beyond Labor Day, weather pending.
Sheldon, is procedurally, are we okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll sign that. Okay.
All right, so basically, my thought is, and I apologize, I did not think of.
Yeah, I meant to mention that.
Yeah, we finally got it back open. And we set, if I'm not mistaken, we set the dates, Memorial Day to Labor Day. It just works, this works in the calendar. We got it back open. We know we get in the summer sometimes where we get 80-degree, 90-degree days during September. And a lot of people that I see down there are kids that are not school age yet. And I can see parents taking them down there maybe through mid-September. So I think, I think we should give the ability for the supervisor to say, forecast looks good. We're going to announce it on Facebook, social media. It's going to be open. It's going to remain open beyond Labor Day.
So I suggest that we do something a little bit similar, but a little bit different.
Okay.
I would suggest that we just say we're going to stay open through the month of September. If it's 50 degrees and raining, nobody's going to go down there anyway. And it doesn't cost us any more if it's.
Why don't you just give the supervisor the authority to set the hours? Instead of screwing around with, this is what it is, this is what it's not. Just give the supervisor the authority to set the hours.
Okay, so procedurally, I'll resend my motion. And and then I will adjust my motion to give the supervisor the ability to set the hours, the authority to set the hours.
Then I'll say that.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I apologize. My number is wrong, so I apologize.
We're anticipating it.
I was anticipating it. The new number 20, the old number.
Still the 20.
It's public comment. Ma'am, I think you wanted it in there if you'd like to. Something.
That it sounds like you determined the Anvil structure is owned by the town. Sounds like you were thinking that potentially the town may choose, if the decision is to keep it, to actually pay for it. And my question would be, where is that money coming from? And is that setting a precedent for all other developments who have signs or structures for the fixing, the upkeeping, all of that will occur, not only currently, but ongoing? So that would be my question and our concern.
And the only thing I can tell you is that if the town board decides to fix it and we have a estimate, then the town board would have to take it from a line in the budget. And not knowing what the estimate would be, I can't give you a responsive answer right now. Anyone else? Sir?
And on that note. Road has to be maintained. That's special, my understanding is special plow has to be in order to maintain that one intersection. Because the other.
I'll take it into consideration, sir. Absolutely. Ma'am, did you have something?
I think he had a question, and I'd like to know that answer also. Is there a special plow that has to be sent to Mendon Farm around the anvil during snow?
I don't know the answer to that.
Oh. I think that was a rumor going around, and I would like to answer to.
So there is I mean, Andy, can you?
I don't know if I can answer a question.
I think that's something that, this is public comment, I think that's a question maybe after hours, not to set precedent.
Or call the office.
It's
Talk
really,
about after the meeting.
I don't mean to shut you
Pretty
down,
much,
but it's more of a public comment than a Q&A session.
Oh, I see.
So I don't mean to shut you down because we really want your input, but
Yeah, but just
You
in
can- you
future
can have-
meetings, we can't choose when we have back and forth and when we don't. We have to do.
You
it.
can have that discussion 5 minutes from now.
sure.
Just in case some neighbors ask. You've done your research and decided that the town owns the anvil.
Mhm.
And you will decide whether to take it down or to rebuild it. And when will that decision be made? We'd like to know, and I'd like to know when you mentioned the next board meeting about the anvil is. It's gonna be. And if anyone would like to send more comments to you, should they direct those right to you?
Yes, and I'll share them with the town board. And the next scheduled meeting is September 11th. Take care of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm not saying.
Anyone else? Danny?
So I heard a lot about the animal. I know we're supposed to ask questions, but where is this animal?
I'll tell you after the meeting.
Anybody else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.